The first Europeans to set foot in the New World. Part 2. The Vikings and Leif Erikson. Europeans before Columbus. Nearly 5 centuries before Christopher Columbus sailed west across the Atlantic, European explorers had already reached the shores of North America. These early visitors were not Spaniards, Portuguese, or Englishmen. They were Norse seafarers from Scandinavia, known to history as the Vikings. The Viking Age, which lasted roughly from the late 8th century to the early 11th century, was a period of extraordinary expansion. Originating in present-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, the Vikings were skilled sailors, traders, settlers, and warriors. They traveled farther than any other Europeans of their time, reaching not only the British Isles and mainland Europe, but also Iceland, Greenland, and eventually the North American continent. Their journeys across the North Atlantic were not acts of blind exploration. They followed a gradual, step-by-step pattern of settlement, driven by population pressure, political conflict, and a desire for land. The story begins in Scandinavia. By the 9th century, Norway was a land of limited arable soil and growing population. Local chieftains competed for power, and political consolidation under emerging kings forced many families to seek new opportunities elsewhere. The sea, which had long served as a highway for Scandinavian peoples, became the route to survival and expansion. The first major leap westward was Iceland. Around the year 870, Norse settlers began colonizing Iceland, an uninhabited island in the North Atlantic. Within decades, Iceland became a thriving Norse society, with farms, trade networks, and its own system of law. From Iceland, the horizon extended even farther west. Greenland came next. According to the Icelandic sagas, a man named Eric the Red was exiled from Iceland around the year 982 after being convicted of murder. Sailing west, he discovered a massive, ice-covered landmass. In a calculated act of early marketing, he named it Greenland, hoping the appealing name would attract settlers. It worked. By the late 10th century, Norse colonies were established along Greenland's southwestern coast. Though harsh and isolated, these settlements survived for several centuries. From Greenland, the distance to North America was no longer insurmountable. It was Eric the Red's son, Leif Erikson, who would go farther than any European before him. Leif Erikson was born around the year 970 and raised in Greenland. Like many Norsemen, he was both a trader and an explorer. According to the sagas, Leif learned of lands west of Greenland from a sailor who had been blown off course. Intrigued, Leif organized an expedition to investigate these rumors. Around the year 1000, Leif Erikson set sail westward. After leaving Greenland, his ship encountered a series of new lands. The sagas describe 3 distinct regions. The first was Helluland, meaning land of flat stones, believed by historians to correspond to Baffin Island. The second was Markland, or forest land, likely modern-day Labrador, rich in timber, a valuable resource absent in Greenland. The third land was Vinland. Vinland was described as a place with mild climate, abundant wildlife, fertile soil, and wild grapes or berries. While the exact meaning of the name remains debated, Vinland is generally believed to have been located somewhere along the northern Atlantic coast of North America. For centuries, these stories were dismissed as legend. European historians long considered the Icelandic sagas to be unreliable folklore, lacking concrete evidence. That perception changed dramatically in the 20th century. In the 1960s, Archaeologists Helge and Anne Stein Ingstad discovered the remains of a Norse settlement at LWas Meadows in Newfoundland, Canada. Excavations revealed sod houses, ironworking tools, and artifacts unmistakably Norse in origin. Radiocarbon dating placed the site around the year 1000. This discovery confirmed what the sagas had claimed. Vikings had reached North America nearly 500 years before Columbus. LWas Meadows is widely accepted as the only confirmed pre-Columbian European settlement in the New World. The site appears to have been a small, temporary base, likely used for exploration, ship repair, and resource gathering, rather than long-term colonization. Why, then, did Viking presence in the New World not last? Several factors worked against permanent settlement. The distance from Scandinavia, and even Greenland, was vast. Supply lines were fragile. The climate, though milder than Greenland in some areas, was still challenging. Most importantly, the Norse encountered indigenous peoples, whom the sagas called the Skraelings. These encounters were not peaceful. While early interactions may have included trade, relations quickly deteriorated into violence. The Norse were vastly outnumbered, and without reinforcements, maintaining a foothold in North America became untenable. After only a few years or decades, Viking expeditions to Vinland ceased. Over time, knowledge of these voyages faded from European memory. The Norse world itself began to decline. Greenland's colonies eventually collapsed, likely due to climate change, economic isolation, and environmental degradation. By the 15th century, when Columbus sailed west, Europe had no awareness that the New World had already been reached. Columbus did not rediscover Vinland. He discovered something else entirely, a route that would permanently connect Europe and the Americas. Yet the Vikings remained the first known Europeans to set foot in the New World. Their achievement stands as a testament to human curiosity, resilience, and the enduring drive to explore beyond the horizon. In the next part of this series, we turn to the most famous voyage of all, Christopher Columbus and the expedition of 1492, a journey that changed world history forever.